Yo, what's going on, Planet S.O.N family? It's your main man, JD. Thank you for tuning in. This is Drinks with JD. Libby Canela, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for joining us here on Drinks with JD. I appreciate it. How was your drive in?
Driving was good.
Yeah.
A little busy. I live in OB, so it was a lot of traffic. Everyone's going to the beach. It was just like, get out of the way. So, but yeah, it took me 10 extra minutes to get here. But I just wanted to thank you for inviting me to be here. And you know,
I'm just happy that you're here. I'm just happy you're here.
Same here. Like, I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a huge fan of you. Yeah,
I want to know more about your military stories. So.
I will. I promise you. I owe everybody, I owe the audience some more stories. I keep promising them, and just other videos keep coming up. You know. So, but I'm thankful that my supporters they're patient with me as well. Now, before we get into the meat of this interview, can you please introduce yourself to the Planet S.O.N audience? Please let them know your name, where you're from, and what you do.
Hi everyone, my name is Libby Canela. I am the CEO of Fearless Woman MMA. It's an all-female fight club, or I should say fight league. We are now international. We have a lot of great news, so I can't wait to spill it out here.
No doubt.
So.
No doubt. Well, I know you just mentioned how you're from OB, right? Now, I was always curious, right? From like being from San Diego and going to the beach and just thinking that how crazy it might be for the locals there for like, let's say traffic, parking, and everything like that. You know, is it crazy like that where you live in OB?
It's crazy, especially when it's 4th of July weekend or it's any special Wednesdays or anything that's an event there. Yeah. Everyone parks in your parking spot. Yeah. And even to get like pet food, I have to drive around and so it's just like I don't even want to go down there. So.
No, for sure. And does it make you stay in the house, or would you rather leave when it's like so much traffic or major events?
It makes me just walk on foot. Okay. I was like, I'm not moving my car.
Wow. Yeah, I always thought about that. I don't know. I mean, I live like East County of San Diego, so I mean when I go to the beach, and I'm always at the beach, but I don't know, I'm just happy I don't have to deal with that traffic, so I'm sorry about that.
You can park in my parking spot.
All right, fair enough.
I got too many tickets.
Okay. Oh, really?
Because you park back to back.
Yeah.
And then here comes like the parking meter.
No.
Or not the park. What are those police?
The meter maid?
Police enforcement.
Yeah.
I'm just like, another ticket.
Yeah. Damn. So, that sucks.
And I was making them rich. I was paying, writing checks. Oh, dude, it was so painful.
That's crazy. So how long have you been living in OB?
Since 2010. Okay. I moved there, and been there for 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you don't mind anything, or I guess you're used to it, right? You're used to the whole. I guess no, not really. No.
I'm used to. I see fireworks.
Okay.
Instead of listening to like gunshots.
Okay, fair enough. Hey, that makes sense.
But I miss the gunshots.
Yeah.
So there's just privilege. You know where I grew up. I grew up on the cusp of Barrio Logan and Stockton. Okay. And then Skyline. You know, and then Lincoln. So that's that area I grew up. And we always had, we always had respect for a neighbor. You look out for your neighbor.
Yes.
See anyone driving by, you're like, hey man, it's just a different type of community.
No. So I know beaches were closed during COVID last year, right? Now, how was that as far as like adjusting to it? Was it, were the beaches empty and let's say your parking spaces, right? How was your neighborhood affected?
It wasn't affected that much. We just didn't have the outside coming in, and the locals still continued to go into like the beach or hikes, regular walks. Yes. But little by little, there's a neighborhood app, and everyone complains when they see a dog that's pooping and they don't pick up. They take a picture, so now people are really being more respectful. Yes. And having their dogs on leashes because they take pictures, they post it on there. Wow. And so
Wait, talk to me about this neighborhood app.
So it's neighborhood app. It's you put in the location that you're in, and the neighborhood, the members around your neighborhood will tell you, I saw a suspicious person.
Yes.
Or I saw somebody got into a car accident. Beware, there's a lot of traffic. Or just local news like, hey, so and so is having like the swap meet's having here, whatever. You know. So it's like it's cool. It's nice like information.
And that's awesome. I never heard of it. So maybe I gotta
you gotta check it out. Yeah.
That's
so
really
it's
cool.
always people. They're like, I appreciate it if you just clean up after your dog, and they show the person, and they're like, that's my neighbor.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they have like the ring. It's like the ring where you could record stuff
for the door, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's catching a lot of people. There's just a lot of like either homeless people or just like kids, and they're breaking into cars, and people post that if anybody saw any of this, you know, please let me know. And and so it's like another like a neighborhood watch now.
That's cool. That's what I'm talking about. Wow.
So
I like how you're highlighting the differences or just a certain aspect of San Diego. You know, because like you were mentioning how you grew up in Logan or during that, like in the middle of Stockton area. So where were you born and raised? Like I know you mentioned Barley Logan, but were you also born in San Diego?
Yeah, I was born in San Diego. I was raised. I mean, I remember my first memories being in Encanto.
Okay.
And then my dad moved to Imperial Avenue, so that's where we had our house, and that was. I remember our first memory was we were fixing up the house. He was gutting it all out. He's a construction man, so he was his own contractor.
Yeah.
And he was just building our house from the ground up. And I just remember like the neighborhood men coming over here and just like peeing in front of our yard.
What?
I was just like, and I was a little girl. I was just tiny.
You're like, what the hell? Yeah.
And I was like, what is this? And it was just
in the front yard. Like
I guess because they're so used to a house that wasn't bought yet.
Oh, okay.
And they would just pee or throw junk in front of it.
So like if it was like maybe an abandoned house, or there's some squatters in there, just disrespecting some property that's open, I guess you could say.
Yeah. And I think they were so used to doing that. And,
and that was like something that was the norm, maybe in that neighborhood
they were
at the time?
probably just walking, but you will see those people with the big
yes,
boombox.
Yeah. Because we're talking early 90s.
Yeah.
What are we talking, right?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so.
Where'd you go to school? As far as like elementary, junior high, and high school?
I went to Encanto Elementary, I think for about a year.
Yeah.
And then I went to King Elementary. So that was Dr. Martin Luther King Elementary School.
Yes.
And that's where I started learning about more of like Black history.
Yeah.
And who Martin Luther King. That really impacted me a lot.
For sure.
To actually do good, to stand up for your own rights. And then they also invited Stevie Wonder.
Wow.
And I actually got to see Stevie Wonder, and I was just like,
oh, wow.
Who is this person? And then we learned about Stevie Wonder. We learned about so many like the movement, you know, like Rosa Parks, and not just that, Cesar Chavez. So
of course.
Many years ago, I think they changed that school to Chavez King Elementary, but I loved it because I learned about my Vietnamese friends, about my Somalian friends, you know, and Filipinos, and when we had potlucks, you know, I didn't know what a potluck was, but then I remember like somebody bringing egg rolls, and we're all used to burritos and stuff, you know, so it's like, I was like, wow.
Like especially in your house.
Yeah, and so I was just like, this is so good. So, I mean, that kind of stuff, I feel like people are missing out.
Yes.
But it was just great. It was great learning about all of that history and the people that lived it and how, you know, it affects you as a kid. It could change you, and you could listen to the history, and that history people need to know.
Of course.
And now you see like Black Lives Matter. You see all of this stuff, and you see these like millennials, you know, don't know who really the whole history.
Yes.
So it's very important to just not just focus on your own community or your, you know, like Latinos or anything, but to focus on everybody else, and to be like, we're all human, we all bleed, like, so.
In the end, we're all one race, the human race.
Yeah.
Right. I love the fact that you're highlighting that you're highlighting everything right now, like what you're just saying, because to me, that's exactly what San Diego is. I'm so proud to be a San Diegan, because growing up, we saw the diversity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right now you just mentioned your Vietnamese and you know your black friends. That's exactly who I was. I remember elementary school being at Brooklyn Elementary. It's not called that anymore. It's called the Albert Einstein Academy, I believe it is.
Oh, that's
it's
by
in
Market,
Golden Hill,
right?
No, it's in Golden Hill on 30th and
That's where all the
Fern.
smart kids go.
Well, I guess Albert Einstein. I guess it's a charter school like that, but it used to be Brooklyn. That's before. You know. But yeah, there was some smart kids there. You know, shout out to my friends from Brooklyn. You know. So the diversity part of San Diego, right? Growing up, I had friends who were born in Cambodia, who were born in Ethiopia, you know, who were born in Guatemala, you know, and we were all just together. And being in the military, I saw that some people in America overall, in different places, how they don't see that much culture, I guess you could say, because their America is something different than what mine was growing up, you know, and mine was full of all these people from Germany and, you know, African American and people with Irish descent, you know, and obviously Mexican, but even different kind of Latinos, you know, from Puerto Ricans to, like I said, Guatemalans, and to us it was normal. I guess when I see the news now, I kind of understand why there's so much divide in our country, because not everybody sees what we saw growing up or what we still see. You know, San Diego is still like that. You know, like, yes, you know, there's bad stuff in every city, you know, there's still racist people here. However, what I see is just a salad bowl of cultures, you know, and we're just all here together. And that's what I love about San Diego, you know. So, but thank you so much for highlighting that, because a lot of people don't see that in San Diego, or it's something that's special about being a San Diegan, right?
It is. It is. And a lot of people are not from here. And then they bring in their little minds, and I'm like, nah, man. Like,
yeah, like, it's not like that. Yeah, be cool like a San Diegan.
Yeah. So, I mean,
no, I totally understand. Now, you know how right now we're talking about what's common about San Diego, right? San Diego, California, right? This beautiful place. And I know I've talked to people about, I highlighted in different videos how, I guess you could say, the norm is for San Diegans, like how easy it is for us to just go to another country, you know, Mexico, real easy, and then to just drive up to Disneyland. You know, like, it's that easy for us, you know? Growing up, was that common for you, where you could just go to Mexico or just travel around?
I would go to Tijuana, so my mom would always get my clothes or my brother's clothes, and we would take them to Tijuana.
That's awesome.
That's something that I didn't understand, and I was just like, Mom, these clothes are ugly, don't buy them for me. So then, like, she would give them to the little girls that are just selling chicles, and they would get so happy. And in me, it opened up my eyes, like, what do they see? They're ugly. But for them, it's like, I don't have anything. I have rags. And that's when, I mean, who I am now is what my mom is. Basically my mom, my neighborhood. I mean, I've gone to Saguayo and everything, visit my mom's family, and then Mexico City. But I've never really had like a luxurious where I'm traveling, I'm having like vacations, because my dad always was like work. And even with his business, I was just like, I was his little secretary, just dealing with numbers, like, and he would do estimates, and I would just be a little kid because he really didn't have anyone, and I would just write down everything. So it was just like, with him having a little bit of broken English, I had obviously English, so it was just me translating everything. And even though it must have been embarrassing, and some maybe like Americans would have been like, what the hell, but that was normal for us, because him as a little boy, he had to work the farms, and so he never really wasted his time with like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take you guys here, I'm gonna take you guys here. He goes, those who do not eat don't work. I mean, those who do not work don't eat. Sorry.
No, that's right.
And he would just say that to us. He was like, you're not eating because you're not working. So I think that mentality of us working made us never be lazy. But then I tell people, immigrant that's coming here is basically kicking your butt in a lot of stuff, But we as Americans who are educated here, we're not. We take advantage of free healthcare or whatever, like welfare and all this other stuff. But it's like if an immigrant could buy their house like my parents did, why cannot a U.S. citizen do the same? And it's because it's like your work ethic. So it's like so that's one thing that I want to always teach people. It's like, don't complain that your parents didn't teach you stuff, because I had to learn things my own way, because they knew only the Mexican way, and I had to learn Mexican way and American way. So
no, that's true. I 100% agree with you. I feel that us Americans, we have to, well, let's say, I guess let me ask this question first. Where are your parents from?
My mom is the Saguayo, my dad is the Guadalajara.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. And when did they come over here to the United States?
Well, my dad was a little playboy, so he's been here crossing the border when there was no border since he was like a teen. So,
oh, wow.
And then my mom came here in the 70s. When she came here, she said rent was like $100.
Yeah.
And it was like she had like her own like big old luxurious apartment, and it was $100. So
wow. Here in San Diego.
Yeah.
So this was their only stop. They didn't want to go anywhere else, like Texas or somewhere up north in California. This is where they landed and set roots.
I think my dad did business in Texas. I just really never like try to talk to him about that a lot. I just remember how the way I have my attitude is kind of how my dad has it. Like, ain't nobody gonna stop me. So my mom was telling me one day that when they crossed the border, they were driving in a truck.
Yeah.
And she said that the border was this high. So it was kind of like, if you see it like this, right? But you're like that was the border. And so people would just cross.
Wow, just like that.
And just come over. And so that was around the 60s, 70s. And my dad was in a truck, and he was like, I'm not going to leave my truck here. So he just ran over the fence, and he got into America. And that's
it.
That's something I would do. So it's like, when my mom told me that, I was just like, oh yeah, so the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Exactly. No,
but yeah, so if you look at Barrio Logan, that's how many people would cross.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's something that I guess some people don't see it like that. And I guess it piggybacks to what I was saying, how people don't really see that aspect, or certain people in certain regions in America. I mean, we're talking about an entire country, but we all see different things. We all have different norms, but yet we all fall under a federal law or federal guidelines, where like a kid who was born in Maine, right? And like nowhere Maine, somewhere as far as possible from San Diego, California, his perspective of what a Mexican American is and how, we help this country, that's completely different compared to a kid born here in San Diego, and I just think that we should, I guess you could say, become more educated on what exactly it is to be multicultural, a multicultural country, because let's say the Olympics, right? You see the Olympics, right? It's so beautiful every 4 years, right? And you see the Japanese team, right? Those people are Japanese, and they have a certain distinct look to them, right? And the Germans, they have the German team, right? And they have a certain distinctive look, right? So now you look at the Americans, and we're all different colors, we're all different religions, we're all different everything. And that's beautiful to me, that we all live together, and we even win together, from, let's just say in sports, let's just talk about that, like in sports, we're so badass together, we get the gold, we always collect championships. And that's what should be highlighted when we go into, let's say, the political aspect of America, how like, we want to do something or change laws that affect people in different regions of America. It's like, well, just because it benefits you doesn't mean that it benefits the other culture. So I just think we should become more educated. As a country. And
it's hard, because it's like, to categorize yourself.
Exactly.
Like politics, it's like, like there's that famous comedian that was saying like, sometimes even Joe Rogan was talking about it, that sometimes you're you're a Democrat, and then sometimes you're a Republican, and then sometimes you're just independent, you know?
Yeah.
Because you have all these different ideas, and you just can't always like agree to like one category.
For sure, for sure. I mean, yes. I mean, we're trying to find a utopia here in this amazing country that we're a part of, you know. But you know, I'm just happy that overall we're San Diegans and we get it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, born and raised, right?
Right. There you
go.
go.
Were you born here?
I was born in Los Angeles.
Oh,
and
nice.
then when I was 4 years old, well, 4 years old, my father moved us to Golden Hill, and that's where I was raised in Golden Hill.
Do you remember anything about LA?
I remember earthquakes. Mind you, I was 4 when we moved. You know, I remember earthquakes. I remember, well, we lived in El Monte, and it's kind of like East Los Angeles, and I remember earthquakes. I remember I got a little scar here when I was on my skateboard. I don't know, it's under my beard, but but I still got the scar, you know. But yeah, but when I was 4 years old, we moved to Golden Hill, and that's where I grew up, in Golden Hill.
East LA, man. That's where all the famous fighters come from.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, Mike Beltran,
Okay,
Oscar
okay.
De La Hoya.
You're right.
Cheech and Chong.
There you go.
You know.
No, you're right. Okay, so as a San Diegan, are you a Padres fan?
Of course.
Okay. Since you were little?
Yeah. Well, I always had my baseball cap everywhere. I always wear it. They always called me the girl with the hat.
Yeah, the Padre hat.
Yeah, they all thought I was bald or something. I would always just wear a hat. And it was just like, no, I'm shy. I just don't want to see anyone.
Yeah.
So with me wearing a hat, I thought I was invisible.
No doubt. Now, were you a Chargers fan?
No.
Okay. Now, were you or...
No.
Are you not now?
No.
Okay.
No,
You didn't care about football?
mostly my brothers were into football.
Mm-hmm.
I was more into baseball. I mean, my favorite of all time for San Diego Padres is Gwen.
Of course.
Tony Gwynn. That was my favorite.
The legend, right?
Yeah. So that was my homie. No, okay. Yeah. I always wanted to meet him, but man.
Like, I mean, who wouldn't want? You know, like everybody. That was like everybody's hero in San Diego growing up.
Yeah.
Right?
That was someone that was like, man. So then I said, if I have a little girl, I'm gonna name her Gwen.
There you go. Oh, that's beautiful.
So I was like, number 19. That
there
was
you
like,
go.
I was always number 19 growing up. So it was just like, that's me.
Of course, that's awesome. Shout out to Tony Gwynn. Rest in peace, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
rest in peace.
Well, we're highlighting how you were into sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when did the love of MMA come in?
Jeez, the love of just fighting, I always had it.
You were always just a fighter, like a warrior?
Well, my dad was freaking violent. You know?
Okay.
So that's where it came. Like, you know,
How so? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh man, like my dad is just a typical macho. Very, very like. I mean, from him being really abusive, like it was real abuse. So it's like it was like that's why where I get the perfectionist, where I can't mess up because it's like I don't want him to like start talking crap or like. So with him being abusive and liking fighting, you know, he introduced boxing, you know, Julio Cesar Chavez,
of course,
you know,
the legend.
And we would watch, you know, that on HBO. I really loved wrestling too, just because it was just like, I don't care what people say it's fake or whatever, but it's like when you're taking slams, you know, that was something very intriguing, you know, like all that stuff, like Hulk Hogan, you know, Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, you see all this crazy stuff. And then we had Bruno boxing right on Imperial. And so it was something that he was just like, yeah, I want you to learn boxing and then take karate. And then we had Archie Moore, who people don't know. Man, that is someone that impacted my life without
him knowing it?
Without him knowing it. And sometimes I think about him, I'm like, man, I cry because he's done so much for the Black community and people don't even know.
Yes.
And that's somebody that Muhammad Ali trained under. And he's from San Diego.
Yes.
And his house is in my neighborhood.
Wow.
His mansion's in our neighborhood.
That's amazing.
And he opened up ABC Boxing, which is right across from Imperial. There's Market. So I had a choice to go with his or to go to Bruno's. So then we just went to Bruno's because it was just up and down.
Yeah.
But his gym was to help encourage the youth to believe in themselves and not think they are just delinquents. And so Archie Moore was somebody that I really looked up to, and it was somebody that it was just like he had a brick mansion and a swimming pool with a glove. And he was the undefeated light heavyweight champion in our city, in my neighborhood.
Wow.
And for me to live in the ghetto, he was my neighbor. And he was so like a normal person. And he taught many kids how to fight. So there's like about 2 or 3 kids that he raised from the 70s to 80s that became Evander Holyfield's camp when he fought. So imagine you're growing up in a neighborhood where you're categorized as, I hate to say this, but you're a minority, you know, you're uneducated, we don't care about your education. But this man, who was a world champion, invested and poured, I am a champion, I'm a leader, I will do good, I will serve my community.
That's right.
I'm going to be a firefighter, I'm going to be a pastor, I'm going to be this, instead of saying I'm going to be a gangster, I'm going to go to jail. All of that, he freaking changed. And most people don't know about that.
Yes.
And that's something that I never really talked about it, but it became something where it impacted me. I'm like, who is this man who trained Muhammad Ali?
Yes.
And who's this man who fought Muhammad Ali? And that lives in my neighborhood and that has this big brick mansion right next to my house. And I was like, and it's Archie Moore. And why is there a freeway named after him? Most people don't know that in San Diego. But now you know.
There you go. There you go.
But that's something like, that's something where, you know, when you live around that neighborhood, you have a bunch of cholos, you know, wanting to fight you. Well, where you're from, where I'm not from anybody, you know. And that's something my dad told me. He was like, either you learn how to fight, because I don't want you to become like cholos, because they're nobody, they're this and that. And it's like, in his mind, it was just like, they're like cop-outs or sellouts, because it takes a real person to fight. It doesn't take a whole crew to fight.
No doubt. No doubt.
To like jump you or anything like that. So that's what he taught us. I just was like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to fight, and I'm just gonna like beat up people, you know. But the anger inside of you, where you're like kind of like, your childhood is not a childhood, it's it's like an adulthood, but you're in a child. You kind of tend to understand those kids that had to labor in order, you know. We don't have a fun, you know, like a fun, I'm going to travel to Disneyland, I'm going to go to SeaWorld, or I'm going to do this, you know. It was just... It
was a rough upbringing.
Yeah, it was just like... And I thought that was my norm. Until I started meeting people in school, and they're just like, Libby, what happened to your house? And I was like, oh, man. It's like my parents got into it, and everything just like got like broken, everything. So it's just...
No doubt.
I didn't know that wasn't normal. So that's how I got into fighting. I got into...
How old were you when you first got into fighting? Like, as far as like organized fighting?
My dad started teaching us how to throw strikes from what I remember. Me, 5.
Wow.
My brother, my middle brother, he's a real good fighter. He will knock anybody out. You get caught in his left hook, you're out.
You're done.
You're done. And he was just a good fighter. So I would always, I'm going to tell my brother, beat you up.
And that was real, because some people be threatening that. And it's like, this
and
chump is your brother.
And he would fight so many cholos, because it's like, he had a dare. I remember he had a dare shirt. And and it was like these cholos were trying to fight him. And then, you know, we were so more into like, we have a really abusive dad. Like, he's gonna kill us. What are you really gonna do to us?
No doubt.
So we were already carrying knives, not knives to like stab somebody looking for trouble. We were carrying knives to just like, because my dad taught us to be like, stay ready.
Be on alert. Be on alert to protect yourself, defend yourself at all times.
And there's many times where like, it's just, I mean, I was cutting shit up, you know. Sorry, it's like I was learning how to do that, and it was just because, oh, I'm a chola or nothing. I didn't know anything about that stuff. I knew about, I fear most my dad. And if I was going to get in a fight with someone, I better freaking win. because this fool's gonna be like,
like, oh, you lost?
yeah. I mean, I remember I came home with a black eye and I tried to hide it from him. I mean, I didn't have makeup. I didn't even know what makeup was, you know. And he was just like, de chingaron. And he starts laughing. I thought he was gonna get mad, but he was just like, yeah. And I was just like, oh shit, he didn't get mad.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I got my hits, you know, but they were holding my hands behind my back.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just stupid, man. It's just, but it's like, that's how I got into like loving the sport. But then when you're kind of like having that kind of issues where you feel like, gosh, dude, like I hate this man. This man. Like, you start to you don't care to see who starts trouble with you. You'll be like, you know, like, test me.
Wow.
So I was always in that. I mean, that's where I ended up at Garfield.
Okay.
Because it was just like, you know, you have these people like that are being bullied, and then they try to bully me. Oh, okay, whatever. You know, I don't care. You know, I have more important things. If I go home tonight, what is my dad gonna be talking crap to my mom about? That was my reality.
Yes.
So when I tell people, I don't care what anyone freaking makes fun of me for, dude. If they're skinny, blah, blah, blah. That was the least of my worries.
Yes.
My worries were, am I going to go home? Is Dad going to be trying to fight with my mom? Or is he going to try to take it out on us? Is he going to try to take it out on the dogs? That was my reality.
No doubt.
So it's like, I try to always understand people. It's like you gotta always be chill, because you never know what anyone's going through.
Exactly.
If your coworker's getting like abused,
yes.
she's not gonna say anything.
Or even your classmate as you're growing up.
Yeah. So
you never know what anybody's going through.
Yeah.
So you have to relax. You have to understand, be cool.
And I remember when teachers would break down, and you had all these kids always like, you know, like at Garfield, they had all these kids always making fun of them, and they would break down. It's like, you never know what they're going through. And then now you guys are making it worse.
That's right.
So I try to not be that asshole. Try not to ever.
Yeah, have sympathy and empathy towards people, no doubt. And I like the way you used that energy that you were receiving from home, and you put it into something productive, like professional fighting. You know, well, I guess before we move on to the MMA stuff, do you now have a good relationship with your father?
I don't even know where he's at.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's just my dad's my dad. It's people hate the person.
Yes.
I mean, I talk to people, and it's just like, look, my dad put me through a lot. He put through my brothers.
Yes.
He put my mom through a lot.
Yes.
But it's like, I'm grateful for that.
No doubt.
Because it made me who I am now.
Exactly.
Instead of being the victim, you know, people are there's so many victims. Like, just embrace what your faith is, what your fate is, not faith, and keep going.
No doubt. You know, something that I guess you could say, or that we could highlight as adults, you know, in our 30s, how a phrase that I love is, you know, you're mature when you see your parents as human beings. You know, because first of all, that helps you to forgive, you know, whoever and whatever your parents have done. Because in the end, you know, you right now, you know, an adult human being has made mistakes, you know, and me, myself, you know, like everybody else, you know, I've made mistakes. And me now as a father, you know, a man who's not perfect, who has made mistakes, you know, I don't want my daughter to ever judge me by my mistakes. You know, yes, you know, I have to not try to make some, you know what I'm saying? Like, as I keep going, I mean, I understand my past. But, like, let's say for myself as a son, you know, I have to look at my father or my mother, you know, and say, well, you know, they tried their best, even though, yes, they do have flaws and they've done what they've done. However, they're still human beings. And that has allowed me to accept my parents for who they are. And also to just forgive. You know, that's what really helps everyone grow. To just forgive, not for them, but for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so you could just be happy. You know, and I guess I just wanted to highlight that phrase that, you know, once you see or you know you're mature when you see your parents as human beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not just, you should have done this better. And
Yes.
so many people just focus on that.
Exactly.
I kind of see it like when I think I was 24, and I was like, oh man, I'm going through the same thing I was always criticizing my mom for.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, now I know what it's like to walk in her shoes being that 24-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
but you see it now.
Now I'm walking, I'm like, now I understand.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, I can't stay mad at you, Mom.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So let's get into Freest Woman MMA. Now, where did the idea start?
The idea, I think just, I guess by fate, I don't know. So basically, long story short.
No. Please elaborate. Long story longer.
So at the time.
Let us know.
At the time I was going through like, like the only thing I could relate to it is like, have you ever seen Interview with a Vampire? Or
yes.
Interview with, okay, so when Brad Pitt is telling his story and he wanted to die, that was me.
Okay.
I love that movie because that's how I felt. I felt just like him. And I didn't care. I would just want to mess up anybody,
Yeah.
And then so I met one of my coaches who now is my business partner. Mm-hmm. Under our professor, Roy Harris. Mm-hmm. And then we just started training. And then in order for us to get fights, because every fight was just being canceled, or the girl got hurt, and you can't find anybody to replace that person, because in female fighting, it's just, there's so many, it's so rare.
Okay.
It's really rare. You have more male fighters than you have female. Mm-hmm. And then the idea just came about with our other coach. Let's just invite a lot of girls, and then let's just do like a kind of like an open mat, mm-hmm. but it's gonna be like an open competition. Okay. And then it all started just kind of like, this is why I like street fights, because that's how it started.
Wow.
And then from the necessity, all the girls were like, oh, me gusta, ¿cuándo es la otra? Yeah. When's the next one?
Wow.
And we basically were like, well, let's do another one. Yes. And then we did another one, and then more women came. Yes. And then it just became an organization where it's kind of, it is a fight league. Mm-hmm. So it's like a UFC, but all women. Yes. And that's how it came about. I didn't go into the business and be like, I like fighting, and I'm gonna have male and female fighters. So it was just like, no, for my own necessity, I needed a competition. Mm-hmm. And let's just invite everybody. Yeah. And so they needed competition. So then, as I was becoming the promoter, I had advice from one of our affiliate gyms in Mexico. Mm-hmm. And he just basically said, ¿Cómo le ve? Because we were at a MMA event. He goes, ¿Cómo le ve? ¿Todavía quieres pelear? ¿Te interesa? I'm going to translate. He was like, do you still want to fight? Are you still interested? And I was kind of like you. I was kind of like, see? Yeah. I was just like, what is he trying to tell me? In my mind, I'm like, what is he trying to tell me? He goes, pues, ¿cómo le ve? ¿Quieres crecer la liga? Do you want to grow the league? And then I was just like, pues sí, está bien. And he goes, ¿qué no piensas que es más mejor creciendo la liga y tú ya no estás peleando? He goes, how do you think about retiring and for you not to fight anymore? And I was kind of like, huh? Yeah. And then he said this, and it made sense to what he was saying. He finally said, well, you don't see Dana White fighting.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I was like, oh, you're trying to tell me to not even retire and to focus on the league to grow it. And that's when I was like, okay.
Yeah. I get it.
And so he has the best fighters in Mexico. His fighters are all in the UFC. Yeah. He has the best gym. He's the best coach. And so I have to listen to him because he first started with us too. And so it's like I had to really retire. And so did my coach, business partner, Miguel, but he's ended up training people. Yes. He has just a whole team of fighters. Yes. They're so amazing, and they're in Mexico City. Tactical Fight Academy, if you guys ever want to visit there. But yeah, he's amazing. He's like one of the best coaches. And he was one of the only coaches that actually ever wanted to work with me because I was female. I tried to hit up a few gyms here in San Diego. I won't mention who, but this was early 2000. Like I said, I graduated early 2000, and I was always tiny. You know, I was like 105, like muscular. You know, like little. You know, muscular. And now I'm 120. You know, with the help of like learning how to feed more of your body because I burned so much so fast. But I remember walking into a gym and say, hey, like I was fresh out of high school. I was like, hey, I know how to box. I want to take some boxing, get my striking and stuff. Let's see if I could win some world titles. And they all like said, oh yeah, come in. No matter all the crap that they had achieve and believe and all this other stuff, none of them believed in me.
Wow.
And this place is in National City.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Yeah.
There's a few. So to leave it there, I don't want people to be like, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got 3 choices.
Yeah.
And so they told me to get on the scale. When I got on the scale, they all laughed at me and they told me to get out.
Wow.
And,
really? Just like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a man's world.
Wow.
You're little. Get out of here, you know? So then I kind of you kind of don't know what to like feel. And then I was just like, oh, okay, whatever, you know? And then like, I just said, just events in your life ended up like had me end up at UCSD. There's a reason why I was at UCSD. I don't know why. And I remember sitting there in my classes and I had this little notebook and I would doodle, draw, write stupid stuff, write songs or whatever, poems or whatever. And I remember writing one of Chris Levin's quotes. And then I remember saying, the Ultimate Fighter is the best TV show ever. and I didn't know I wrote that, you know, until many years later. No, until like two years later, I went to my mom's house and she had all of these, like all my school like journals and everything. I'm like, Mom, I was talking crap about my parents. I'm like, you still save this? But because she doesn't know how to really read in English, she doesn't know that was there.
That's what you're saying,
and I was like, this school's so stupid or something, like, right? And I was going through all of my old notes and I saw that and I took a picture. I posted on my Instagram. And crazy coincidence, Chris Levin's my neighbor. He lives like 2 blocks away from me, and he also became one of my referees.
Wow.
And when I was writing his check, I was like, that's so funny. Like he was my favorite, and I wrote his quote, and it was just like, it's like, I don't know if I was there and I was getting visions. I had no idea, but I was writing down whatever would pop up in my head. Wow. And I think when my pastor would always say, God's going to show you visions and dreams that that will only speak to you in your heart. And I would just write them down. So
you feel it's like divine intervention.
Yes.
Overall, Fearless Women MMA was meant to be.
Yeah, and I feel amazing. Like when I just had so many like organizations that I was just writing down. Like, and it was just happened to be now what it is, Fearless. So it's insane. And it's like I have my two coaches who are my two like my business partners now, and they're like amazing. And I mean, they're in Mexico City right now, but it's like I'm here, but it's like they're the only ones that believed in me. And it's so crazy because you could always believe in yourself. Always. But when you have someone that says, I believe in you, and that when Alan said that, that's my other coach, it makes you feel like I got it. And that's something that I want to always encourage every like athlete, every girl, everything.
For sure.
Because like I said, I've been kicked out of gyms, dude. And it's like now it's so common because of the hard work Ronda Rousey did, hard work that Cyborg did, hard work that, like Gina Carano did. Maybe I'm saying her last name wrong. I don't know. But those are like women that really like put their, like they really build women's MMA.
That's right.
And it's like, it's now more open and available. I still have a few fighters that are suffering and getting the right coach or people to believe in them. And I try to tell them, look, same thing happened to me. people are. This is still a man's world, and they're gonna try to say, "Get out of here! You're not a champion. You're not a fighter. You're not this." I only train fighters. I only train champions. Yeah. You're gonna have those coaches.
The naysayers.
Yes, and I tell them, I'm like, if they don't believe in you, you just gotta believe in yourself.
Exactly.
I'm like, nobody believed in me until one coach, and then from that opened up this whole organization, and that's why I continue going, because I feel like if I stop, they're just gonna be exploited.
Yes.
I know the business, and I know what people want, ticket sales. Mm-hmm. I continue to pour out so much, and I treat an amateur like a pro, and even the biggest pro promoters or promotions, they still treat a pro, a brand new pro, as an amateur. Wow. That means you have to find your own flight, you have to buy your own flight, you have to get your own hotel, and you have to pay for your own whatever you need, you know? But that as a promoter, you have to do that. So with me, I always want grade A. I don't want any half-ass. That's right. If I have to go into being into more debt or, you know, not make a profit, I would do it. And that's what I envision Fearless to be. I want to treat my amateurs same as pro. Right. But even when my pros, or even when my amateurs turn pros, I don't want them to be struggling. I need sponsors to help me pay for a flight. I'm like, shame on you, man. I'm like, shame on you. You guys are in UFC Fight Pass, and you guys are making these fighters' lives more harder, and you have to sell tickets. That's not the fighter's job. The fighter's job is to fight and to bring in a show.
That's right.
As a promoter, your number one job is to sell tickets. And that's why Dana White is the best promoter out there right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's where I feel like a lot of women don't know much about Fearless, and they kind of like downplay it. I'm like, but no. There's a lot of good stuff that's going to happen because I've been working hard. I'm not just out there, you know, sitting here and, you know,
twiddling your thumb. Yeah, not pushing the brand. Well, right now you were mentioning Mexico and just overall the company being, or the league being international. Can you speak about that, of just your travels within the league, of where it's taken you or where you've taken it?
Yes. So usually a promotion for amateur, you just stay at a local city. Okay. So let's just say there's a local amateur league here, but of course it's for San Diego. There's also some that are in the Los Angeles. There's also some in North Cal, and then, you know, you have your promotions in Las Vegas, you know. But I feel like I need to travel because I still have to be loyal to my Mexican fighters.
Of course.
Many of them can't cross over to fight here, especially with COVID. It's a lot of regulations and restrictions that does not allow them to come or have their coaches, even with a visa. So I was like, let's just move it back over there, have a few events
in Mexico,
and have the American fighters travel there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
And let them experience how beautiful Mexico City is.
Of course.
And it is nice. I mean, I don't care if I like having, like, I like doing Airbnbs than hotels.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But I pick them really close to the center of, like, the historic. That's amazing. Where you can see Frida Kahlo. Because those are all, like, that's where Frida Kahlo. Yeah, that's history. She walked there. So then, like, you have, like, the Angel of Independence. Yeah. You have, like, all of that stuff. You have, like, the new Aztec temples that they found that were in the center of Mexico. Wow. And so basically a earthquake happened. Yeah. The hotel, everybody that was inside of the hotel, you know, the hotel collapsed. They all died. Yeah. And then they started digging it out. And right underneath that one hotel, that's the only hotel that was destroyed, ended up being where the Templo Mayor is. Wow. That's the holy temple of the Aztecs. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't think it's by coincidence.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
And it all got exposed. And so when you go to Mexico City, I want it to be so close where they have a little bit of downtime and they could just view. And
you can just see it, embrace it. Yeah. Embrace what it is. And also, I mean, be appreciative to just be there as well. Yeah. How you could just, right now, we were mentioning how Mexican fighters, it's not easy for them to go to America. Well, American fighters, they go to Mexico City, the capital city, and experience that, you know, to appreciate culture as well, you know, another country.
Exactly.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's real cool that you guys adjusted to that.
Yeah.
Now, you know how you mentioned how you retired from fighting, right? And then you got into the business aspect of MMA. And what's the difference overall as far as like the business side and the athlete side?
For me, I think it just comes naturally. Like I said, my dad had his business, always business minded, and then he had the aggression. He was always fighting.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have that fighter that just knows how to fight.
Yeah.
Like you have Mike Tyson, not really that educated, but the man is really brilliant.
Yes.
And now with years of being around, you know, businessman, he's become a real businessman.
That's right.
And with me, it always came natural. Like I mean, obviously I went to UCSD.
Yeah.
So with fighting, it was just I mean, I always been athletic, and it was, how would I say it? I mean, I still train. I don't stop, you know. But I'm not into wanting to look a certain way anymore. Like, I'm just more into like a healthy, where you go all in. All in means like you start eating and feeding your body, and you don't restrict that, so you could have like the cut up muscles.
For sure.
Because eventually it starts taking its toll. Your fingernail starts to break, your hair, you just get foggy headed, but you're carrying this look where you look strong, but you're not. So a lot of those people that are cut, bodybuilding, and especially that, you know, they're not really that strong. So if you look at a lot of MMA fighters, you see the difference of their body, and you see why they look different from a like a bodybuilder or something like that. So it's like you need body fat to fuel you. So then you see like, and they're really more thin when you see like a runner. That's more endurance.
Yeah.
Like a soccer player. Man, if you get in a fight with a soccer player that knows how to punch, that guy is trained to go for hours.
Yeah, so like how Mayweather, how I think he would run like 16 miles a day or something like that. Something crazy, because boxing is just straight cardio.
Yes.
I mean, to go the distance.
Yeah.
Especially with Mayweather, you're not going to hit him. So, you know, and he's always just moving.
Yeah,
you know, so
he's more faster than most people that I see that are just lifting weights. And
for
they're
sure.
looking, because there's difference between looks and there's the difference between health. So that's where I learned from Mike Dolce, is that people have this thing like, oh, you're very cut and lean, and your veins are popping out, and your muscles are showing and stuff. I'm like, but you're not healthy inside.
That's right.
Inside, you're like, oh, like that's how I was all the time. And imagine when I'm dealing with business, you have to deal with crazy people all the time, and you have to constantly keep your cool.
That's right.
That takes a lot of energy.
That's right.
And it's just. I just think that's the difference. It was a difference of like, you focus on your opponent, you focus on training, you focus on your performance, and just winning your fight. Business, it's gonna be similar, but now you're dealing with businessmen. You're dealing with your mind. I mean, you're always going to have that competition of like another promoter, like, you know, but
I mean, it's still competition regardless.
It's always competition. Me, I don't care if it's like, if they think, I mean, I have a few promoters, like even a few people in the business, they say, Libby, you have haters. I'm like, I have haters, but I don't love them. I mean, I don't hate them. I love them. I'm like, I ain't have nothing against. I will buy $100 ticket too. So, you know, I'm
like haters are your motivators.
Yeah. Well, it's just like, I don't, it's not going to do anything. I'm like, this is not a true fight, you know, meaning like what I'm doing with Fearless is so different, and it's not what people think. It's more of I want to empower and encourage everyone. Yeah. Because I was always discouraged.
Well, how about this? How about the naysayers at the beginning, when you were just barely thinking about, you know what, I want to start Fearless. I want to do this. I want to keep pushing this. Were there a lot of naysayers like, yo, Libby, stop,
still a lot.
don't do that?
Oh yeah. I even had one of my friends' girlfriends, and he's a promoter. You have no idea what it feels like to do a promotion. And I'm like, you have no idea that I've been doing this for 5 years in Mexico, which is so hard.
That's right.
Because Mexico, there's territories. There's big people that control and that have power over there.
It's
and
a different perspective.
And they're not going to be like, dude, you're out of line. Like, either leave or get killed. And that's how it is. And when they said that, I was just like, you have no idea. And I just have to smile, and I'm like, it's okay, because they're stuck in their little box in America.
Yes.
They don't know what goes on out in there.
Overall in the world. Because we're also talking about a sport that's international.
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
Yeah.
With different, in countries with different laws, with different rules, with different just way of living. And yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you're also thriving in another country, and that you're also setting roots over there to just be international.
But it wasn't easy.
For sure.
There's a lot of death threats. There's a lot. And a lot of people don't know that,
Yeah.
There's a lot. Every single time, like, you think oh man, they left me alone.
Yeah.
Something happens. Yeah. And so it's kind of like, man, I mean, I have to really thank my coach Miguel, because he's like, I mean, he's amazing. He was the Marine that was in the front line for me.
Okay.
So for the few first Fearless, he was like, I'm the promoter, I'm this. So people was kind of like, he was like my protector.
Yeah. Until
I was finally like, okay.
Libby's right next to me, and you embraced your position.
Yeah. So then the two of us were like, okay, like you're my protector, because it was crazy. I'm like a female, especially right now, like Mexico City, you have like the feminine movement.
Okay.
Because there's so many women being killed, and the women are saying, you guys are not doing anything. So just like here we have Black Lives Matter, over there they have the feminine movement.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like everywhere in the world, the people that are being held down and nobody cares about are finally speaking up.
That's right.
And it's something that that's going to move, but little by little.
Yes.
Like with George Floyd, we got victory, but it's still a lot of hard work to knock down every door.
Of course.
Like, that was the beginning of like, enough is enough, man.
Yes.
Like, you understand, like, we have crooked cops, and those crooked cops make good cops look bad, and the good cops ended up getting sometimes murdered.
I completely understand exactly what you're saying. And it's admirable, it's commendable that you're a part of that, as far as highlighting women and allowing them to just be a part of something special. Because I believe that sports takes away, or maybe distracts you to what the world is going through at that very moment.
Yeah.
Yes, sometimes sports could also be impacted from what's going on in the world, as far as, like, let's say the civil rights movement and September 11th, and also what's going on now, how you even see certain leagues wearing, there's certain thoughts on what side they're on. But I feel that, let's say in Mexico, how you could just allow these women to have an outlet, to become stronger within themselves. Because, I mean, overall, MMA is pretty badass, so, you have to be a badass woman to want to actually
to get punched in the face, to get choked out, and like what drives you, like what makes you want that, and it takes a special person to just be a fighter. Everybody says like, oh, the money. I'm like, really? I'm like, I know people that are getting paid $200 that just turned pro, and are begging for sponsors.
Yes.
And I'm like, and you're fighting for one of the best leagues out there.
Yes.
Best leagues. Yes. And it's kind of like, but then my league is downgraded because it's nothing. Yeah. But I'm like, no, it's okay. I mean, they can They could get signed by whoever they want to get signed.
No doubt.
But I will take care of my fighters.
Right.
I will show them what it feels like to live in luxury. And especially I have a few amazing partners that are just amazing.
That's amazing. I'm happy for you. That's awesome that you connect yourself with people who want to be a part of it and not just waste your time.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta ask this: as a female fighter or a woman who loves MMA, who's your favorite professional MMA fighter?
My favorite. Let's see.
Overall, like right now, let's say today.
Oh man, that's hard.
Yeah. All right, let's say your top 3.
Oh, one, Ronda Rousey. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Man, it's just hard because I love all of them.
Yeah.
I love.
Well, how about this? Forgive me to interrupt you, but let's say Ronda Rousey, right? Did you follow her from the beginning, and also were you initially disappointed? Let's say when she lost her first big fight.
No. I knew of Ronda Rousey because I seen her in Tough Enough, and that's the company I ring girled for.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But I wasn't disappointed because it's like, you have to see, this woman is way more achieved. She achieved more than anyone has that I've known, or many people in the U.S. or even in the world, to be the first American Olympic champion in judo.
That's right.
Please.
Yeah.
That's the number one first.
Yeah.
You don't know her drive. Her drive was her pain for losing her dad.
Yes.
And knowing that her dad said, you're a champion.
That's
You're
right.
going to be the best.
That's right.
She always believed that, even after he left this world. And she continued to believe in that. And then she had a badass mom who was not even just a mom. She was like the first Latina and woman, judo champion. That is so rare.
That's right.
And when people try to say these stupid things, it's like, please, she will kill you.
That's right. I mean, it's Ronda Rousey.
You have to understand that. If Ronda Rousey would fight, I think, Amanda Nunes in jiu-jitsu or in judo, obviously Ronda would win.
No doubt.
But it's like striking, you have to see it. Yeah, striking.
It's just different fighting styles.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like, let's say, you know how right now you were highlighting how fighters need to do certain things. Like, you need to, first of all, you need to focus on the fight.
Yes.
And then also, you need to focus on the show. And let's say for Ronda, like, I hate how people highlighted her first loss. Because it's like, how are you going to hate the woman for beating up all the fighters within the first round, and within like a second, like, okay, she won, and yeah, you're gonna get mad because, I paid this pay-per-view and she only gave me a second of the fight, but she won. But then when she decides to, okay, let me give you a show against this boxer, what I'm saying, which, Ronda's style is overall grappling, and it's not boxing hand to hand, boxing, which was I forgot her name, Holly Holmes.
Yes.
Yeah, that was her first one, I believe.
She was a kickboxer.
Yeah, you see, and that's not Ronda's specialty.
Yes.
So it's like she was trying to give everybody a show by like, all right, let me go the distance. Let me go, 3 rounds with her and not cheat you from the show. And when she was introduced to a different fighter with a different fighting style, yeah, it hurt her, but at least she was trying to give the audience something that they were craving, but then at the end, they still hated her for that. And it's like, it's like she couldn't win. Like, you hated me for winning, but then you hated me for losing and for giving you a show. Like, but she's a legend. I love Ronda. She's my favorite female fighter. And
yeah, that's my favorite.
No.
I have to say, that's my favorite. I whatever people say, it's like, they don't know.
Yeah.
If you haven't gotten hit in the face in
Exactly.
a real match, if you've not ever had the freaking, cage on your shoulder, that stuff hurts, and so it's like,
or just getting punched in the face overall, right?
yeah, sometimes you don't feel it.
Yeah.
I mean,
because of adrenaline maybe, but still.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't deny that she was the best at that time, and so, but like every champion's gonna either win or lose. You don't retire undefeated unless you're Mayweather. but
even since Chavez lost, Muhammad Ali lost, Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, everything she did was so new. She created her own new armbar. and nobody's really seen that, and it's just insane. And so, I mean, people are people. People are people, and you just have to get used to it. No matter how.
Legend.
This is something that Jesus Christ always said. He says he knew he couldn't save the whole world, even though he said, "I am here. You know, I'll be your savior."
Yeah, like he died for everybody, but not everybody's going to heaven.
And
right?
he understood that. So not everybody, and he was the most nicest people. And he understood that no matter how nice and loving I am and how much I will heal you or whatever, I will bless you, he knew that people will still reject him. And that's something that we all as human beings have to understand, especially a celebrity. Rhonda became a celebrity because she has something special about her.
Of course.
And it's not just that, you know, like, oh yeah, they painted her to be a fraud or whatever, she's just punching things. It's like, no, this woman's special. This woman opened up MMA, right. And I hate when everyone puts her down. I'm like, if it wasn't for her, you would never get inspired.
That's right.
And if it wasn't for her, you would never be sitting in the cage.
That's right. Amen.
She changed how men understood.
You're right.
And it took Dana White, her, for all those years, he was like, no women, until it was her. And you can't tell me she ain't special.
She's special. 100%. You're right.
And I don't think we'll ever find a Rhonda. We can
you know
try.
What? Let's say, hopefully, maybe one day.
We'll find a Rhonda
Fearless,
like
right?
20 years. Yeah, 20.
Yeah.
Well, I have a lot of little soldiers.
There you go.
Up.
There you go. The next Ronda Rousey, right?
I know there's a Ronda Rousey with us right now.
There you go.
That she's just a little girl. Like I know her. It's Jaden.
Now, okay, right now we're talking about the younger generation, right?
Yes.
So let's, I guess, think about back in the day when you were 10, when you were 15, you know, and there's a little girl right now who's watching this and watching you right now, right? They're like in awe of like, wow, you know, this woman, you know, is going through or went through what I am currently going through. You know, what kind of encouraging words do you have for them?
I'm going to say the same thing that Courtney Olsen told me. Okay. And she's the owner, CEO of Girl Clothing. I don't know if you, it's like GRRRL. Okay. Girl Clothing. She sponsors Rose Namajunas, and she's one of the biggest women's supporters in the world. Yeah. I tell you the same thing, and I would tell my same thing. Keep going. Okay. That's it. She told me keep going.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's it. And every single time I want to stop, or I feel like, oh, why am I going crazy over this? I could just be enjoying my life. I could just be not dealing with taxes or international problems. I hear her keep going.
Now, as far as Fearless Women MMA, what are your goals towards the future?
Oh, ESPN.
There you go.
ESPN. And that's the goals. I mean, I have a business partner that his oldest brother just signed a deal at ESPN with one of the biggest, another pro league. And that's going to be our goal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Our goal is going to be just exactly that. Yeah.
Now, for local people here in San Diego and also local people in Mexico City, how can they contact you and how can they be a part of Fearless Women MMA?
So they could go through Instagram, also DM us.
Okay. What's your Instagram?
It's Fearless Woman MMA. And you will see an octagon with Fearless Woman MMA. Send us a DM. You could email us. You could also go through our website at fearlesswomanmma.com and send us a message or email us. But make sure you put your information, because I had few fighters that contact them. I'm like, well, how am I going to contact them? It's just, they never really registered. They just sent a message. I found out who they were because of my old matchmakers. I was just like, who is this person that fought this? And they were this age at that time. And so that's how you could contact us. Also through Facebook, just send us a message, a DM. We have our media handling all the messages, and they send it forward to our matchmakers. We have 2 matchmakers, so one in the U.S. and one in Mexico. When we do international, they're both working together.
Now, before we close this out, do you have any shout-outs?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I want to thank you first, you know. I want to thank Jesus Christ.
Amen.
My matchmakers, Miguel Rendon and Harvey Graciano. everybody that has always, believed in us. Big Surge, my cutman, he's like gonna be getting his third, award as being a cutman of the year. Amazing. Thank you for everything you've done in Mexico with us. Our new partner, Danny.
There you go. There you go.
And just all of the fighters that have believed in us since day one. We're going to continue building this league, and we're going to be pouring so much into it where I want you to be able to know que sí se puede, like, that you did it. You're not just a person in Mexico that will never get out of Mexico. I want you to be fighting in the best American leagues. And any woman, that's what I want to tell everyone. And just everyone that has supported us, the fans, the coaches that have, believed in us, just everyone. Thank you all. So.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, thank you so much, Libby. I'm truly appreciative that you came and sat down with me on Drinks with JD. I'm appreciative, and I hope to attend one of the fights.
Yes, VIP.
There you go.